Hi everyone. There's a list of films out there called 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die, collected by Steven Jay Schneider. And it is a list of films that are culturally significant or significant to the work of filmmaking. It goes from 1902 all the way to the present day with the most recent edition. The most recent film on there is Moonlight, so they've been keeping up pretty steadily. So I thought it'd be fun to maybe go through every single film on that list and give my thoughts on it. This is Before I Die. Welcome to the first edition of Before I Die. This is something I thought would be cool, sort of spice up, take a break from the recent sort of movies and maybe go over some classics and maybe discover some new classics that I might not have seen before. Feel free to give me your feedback on this, guys. I'm just sort of spitballing ideas and going wild with this, so give me your thoughts. I love feedback. Today's relic is Voyage dans la Lune, which is a French film directed by Georges Méliès. It was released in the year 1902, and it is significant because it is one of the first films, period. I mean, one of the first, motion pictures that was solely created to have an audience in mind as an art piece. And it was an interesting watch, to say the least. So the movie is based on the work of Jules Verne in what I believe it's called Journey Around the Moon. And it follows magicians, I guess. It's very hard to tell what's happening because it's a silent film, but there's these magicians and they want to go to the moon, so they build a spaceship. And so back then, obviously in 1902, the moon landings wouldn't happen for another 60 years. So their best idea for a moon landing was to send a capsule in a catapult of sorts and just launch it at a high speed and it would land on the moon. And so that's essentially what they did. They just sent some people to the moon, they encounter some moon aliens, and then they come back to Earth. And then that's really it. I mean, the movie's only 12 minutes long. It's not long by any stretch of the imagination. What I found very interesting was the special effects were actually fairly decent for something that came out in 1902. Méliès' uses of jump cuts I found especially surprising. Jump cuts nowadays are only used for vlogs. They're not necessarily something you see in traditional film. But Méliès uses the jump cut to his advantage. The aliens, when they're killed, they sort of disappear in a puff of smoke. And so Méliès uses a jump cut to go from the guy in the alien costume, to smoke puffing out. And it's actually very well done. I mean, obviously the guy knows what he's doing. It's a work of science fiction, but I think it's mostly, it captures that essence of science fiction that's less fact and more fiction. It's very wondrous. The fact that we have this sort of catapult shooting off to the moon, and there's aliens, and they get back into the capsule and they literally fall from the moon back to the Earth. It's so wondrous, and there's a sense of amazement that sort of comes with watching it and sort of peering into this world of the moon. The moon has a face, for God's sakes. It's amazing. And really, this wonder is by design. Méliès, I mean, by this point, Newton had been around for centuries. People were well aware of how physics worked at this point in time. And Méliès was really combating the rigidness of the scientific community with this film. The fact that, science is a set thing, which was sort of the prevailing attitude of the time, and where people didn't really appreciate the wonder of what could be. And so Méliès was sort of tapping into that wonder of like exploring the moon, going beyond the Earth, seeing beyond what we know to see what's really out there, because we really don't know what's out there. Overall, it's an interesting watch for me, and I can see the significance of it. I can see sort of the elements of it that sort of set up how films and science fiction stories would be written and filmed for the next century and beyond. I highly recommend it. Again, it's Voyage dans la Lune, which in English translates to A Trip to the Moon. It's available on YouTube for free, so it's like you don't even have to try that hard. It's only 12 minutes. I recommend you watch it. That's it for today. Tell me if you thought this was interesting. I kind of want to make this a thing. I'm trying to go from, maybe I'll do at the very back of the list 1902, and then the top most recent. A bit of variety, so I'm still looking at films of cultural significance, but I'm not always looking at black and white silent films for the next month. We'll see how it goes. And I haven't seen a lot of classic movies, and I feel like it's a disservice for me, to you as the audience, that I haven't seen a lot of these classic films. I feel like I gotta educate myself, right? To tap into the art of filmmaking, so I can really get a picture of how these modern films, I can see the influences that led to the life of the party within Méliès. I can see Melissa McCarthy's inspiration from Le Voyage dans la fucking Lune, my dude.